the shapeshifter, the scribe, the writer, the messenger. These are all words that we associate with this new moon Gemini. Welcome. We begin a new cycle. The sun and moon will conjoin in Gemini at 4 degrees. If you can find that in your birth chart, that'll let you know where this solar and lunar energy is radiating in your chart, where it's going to take up kind of communicate this big theme over the next at least 28 days. So it's all about sharing ideas. It's about being versatile. It's about being adaptable. It's about listening, having 1,000 ideas before 8 a.m. That shouldn't be difficult for you Geminis. It's about just expanding our perception, our limited perception of our own personal world and the bigger world around us. Gemini rules tradesmen. It rules trade. It rules journalists. And it's about just kind of opening up the mind. The moon is many things. It's more, it's certainly emotional. And this moon Gemini talks about, kind of opening up a channel between your emotions and your mind. We often think we overcredit our minds without question. Opening up a channel between your emotions where, there's a lot of ancient wisdom encoded there, and opening up a channel between your emotions and your mind. So just, allowing space for it, not judging any emotion, whether it's crazy or neurotic or anything else, just letting it be and opening up that channel. This can be a busy moon cycle. So people that, struggle with anxiety, may need to, do some more grounded exercises than say usual. Being outdoors is helpful. Using breath. Gemini rules, is an air sign. So using your breath is certainly helpful. Now, the new moon chart has definitely some challenging patterns to it. One of them is Venus and Pallas Athene. They're conjoined exactly, and so this is pretty the fierce feminine, right? This is the rise of the female, and nothing wrong with that, right? It's feminism is about equality, but it's going to be making a clash with the planet Pluto. And Pluto is a power monger. It's in the sign of Capricorn. It's very harsh and it's austere, and it's dismantling kind of the old guard. So there's going to be a situation arise that where the old guard is clashing with a young kind of fierce feminine energy. So that'll be interesting to watch how that plays out. And it's very much a tense, conflicted kind of energy there. Another pattern is Mars and Saturn. Mars is actually, it's rogue right now, which means that it's away from the authority of the sun, which anything can happen. It's kind of a wild card, but it's making a number of different patterns or connections or aspects in this new moon chart. It has been pretty well all week. One of them being Saturn. And so we can feel that our action forward is blocked. And Saturn talks about old, it's about history. So it's if you find a situation where you're feeling blocked or obstructed by some kind of invisible force and some resentment, frustration comes in, try to release that because that's not going to help at all because Saturn kind of likes that in a darkish kind of way. If you're feeling frustrated or resentful, that just digs in deeper and desired results are more elusive. So that energy comes up, you realize it's actually part of an old story, something that goes further back in your own personal history, a time that you would have been obstructed in maybe a kind of a harsh way. So we can work with that, right? Another planetary pattern is called the Yod. Now, the Yod is a highly charged karmic, situation or pattern, rather. I have one on my own personal chart. So it's, I bless it most of the time. It's, the finger of God, finger of fate, that it's called is quite a kind of a heavy energy. There's just this desire to do something, like really achieve or do something, that there's kind of a mission, kind of a clarion call, some mission that we're being called to. And that's kind of part of your own personal story and kind of a global story for the next, certainly this new moon chart of the next 28 days. So there's going to be this feeling come up of, that we have to do something. There's some kind of like mission calling us. We don't have to identify it during this time. Remember, new moon Gemini is about ideas. Having one or having 10,000 ideas and sharing and talking about them. So that's one thing. Another planetary pattern is a T-square. I have a few of those. And T-squares, we can't be lazy with the T-square. We have to just simply work with it. We have to kind of get down to business and work with it. And the T-square is involves a number of different planets, of course, and it can be a frustrating energy, but it's one that that we just simply have to work with. And then we have the North Node in Leo, which that's ongoing. But I like to mention it because the North Node Leo, it's we're called to connect with our heart, our playful child. We're called to step forward, not to kind of, go back into the shadows. We're to step forward. We're to fall in love. We're to fall in love with something or somebody and have as much kind of joyful, playful passion as we can. And that's in these times, that's quite an audacious and rebellious thing to do. So I wish you a very happy new moon. I wish you 10,000 new ideas and many blessings.